Hey gang, how you doing today? Sorry that was a little abrupt. Hope you're doing well. Happy Thursday. Hope you're all here for CIS 2151, Object-Oriented Program, Java. I'm pretty sure we just ran out of letters there for programming, because I'm calling it Object-Oriented Programming. Um, yeah, my computer is just being weird right now. It was like freaking out having Stream Manager open. I'm going to try that again real quick. See if I can get that going, but it was like eating up all my CPU. Not even the CPU, was eating up my GPU. It was obnoxious. That like shouldn't happen. So I've got chat up on my phone at the moment. There we go. Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for dropping by. Let's see if that. Yeah, why? That just sucks. It shouldn't be that busy. I don't know. That is weird. I don't know. Is it doing okay for you guys? As long as it's not laggy, I'll be okay. But that seems like it's, yeah. I'm just going to keep that closed. All right. So OBS needs all the rest of this. Anyway, welcome. Hopefully you've had a chance to take a peek through the course here on D2L. I'm assuming because this course has a prereq of 1500 that you guys are familiar with D2L and kind of know your way around. So please correct me if that's not the case. Okay. I don't want to make too many assumptions, but I assume all of you are good at that by now. So this is a little weird. I can't see my own video, but that's okay. I'll get used to it. Maybe I'll reboot on break or something. Yep. Over break, we'll take some time. Make sure you fill out the getting to know you form. I'll show you guys all of that. So it's a little bit weird. I've got a Tuesday, Thursday section of 2151 that meets 10 to 11:50. So I know I have had a couple of you guys drop in on that one already. A couple of you folks drop in already on that. And that's great. If that works for you, awesome. My plan for the Thursday night class is not to go till 9:45 p.m. I usually tend to lose people after that long, and what we would typically do in in-person classes is I would talk for a good 2 hours or so till about 8 p.m. and then we would break for a chance for you guys to try some of the stuff I've been talking about and demonstrating in class. It doesn't seem to go well if you guys try and follow along. I typically type faster than most people. And just I'm familiar with the tools and it's just what it is. So if you want to try and follow along, that's great, but I'm not expecting you guys to follow along while I'm showing you stuff in lecture time, but we'll have time reserved after that for you guys to try things out, give them a shot, and get started on homework where I can walk around and answer questions. So most of the time I'll be able to answer questions after class or after we're done in lecture time. You can come hang out in the Discord. We can do screen sharing there, or I can fire up Zoom if we need to. Whatever you guys need for that. And that's kind of the plan for this. So if we don't get through everything that I had in mind in 2 hours, I'm going to say, hey, there's a VOD or a YouTube link from the Thursday morning session from today that's going to have the last little bit of stuff. So like we got through all of the syllabus, the first project assignment, which is just a get things working in GitHub, and I'll show you all that in a little while, don't worry. And then we did a little bit of recap through some of the stuff from chapters 1 through 7, mostly focused on chapter 7 and looking at two-dimensional arrays. Depending on who you had for 1500, they might have been mentioned, or they might not have been talked about at all. So I want to review that a little bit today, and that's about as far as we're going to get. But let's take a peek at the syllabus here. Hopefully you guys had a chance to look at that one. This is me. Hi, nice to meet you. Hopefully you had a chance to Google me, check out my profile. I've got some links there in the Twitch page, or I've got a little bio here in D2L as well. This is my school email address. It does go right to my phone, so most of the time I can respond very quickly. If it's something I got to take a little while and look at, I'll get back to you shortly. If you haven't heard from me in 24 hours, please feel free to pester me. It might have just gotten lost somewhere. So it's all fair game there. I do have a office phone, but being a new full-time faculty member as of last semester during the pandemic, I've not actually been to campus. I don't think I even have an office yet. So I have no idea. There's a number I can call and I can like get into the voicemail system, but please don't call that number. Use my cell phone here. It's my real phone right here. It rings to this one. You can call or text. I'm usually up most days around 8 or so. I'm not much of a morning person, despite attempts to try and be. I don't like the mornings. But I'm a very late person. So anytime after 8 a.m. up through midnight or so is fair game to call, text, email, chat me, whatever. You can email, ping me on Discord anytime because I'll just ignore you if I'm asleep. But for calling and texting, that's all fine and good if you want to. It's no problem. This is the Thursday night section. Our lecture location here is Twitch. You guys found us. Congratulations. Attendance is not required. You guys are welcome to check out the VODs, or the videos on demand, or the exports to YouTube at your convenience. I just strongly recommend you don't get behind because work piles up fast. You guys are probably pros at some of this remote learning stuff by now, but it is rough if you get behind. I'll just be honest. So please try and keep up if you're not going to be watching live. You can either do the Tuesday, Thursday sessions or the Thursday night session. I'll try and keep all those links for you guys. I've got a playlist on YouTube you guys can follow along and some playlists or collections on Twitch that you guys can follow as well. So I'm hoping I can get through all the things I get through in the morning classes, the Tuesday, Thursday stuff in our time together. If not, again, I'll say, hey, go take a look and finish out whatever we missed, probably the Thursday morning stuff. So again, I'm only planning about 2 hours of talking at you. I know attention spans are rough, and a 4-credit night class can get very long, especially if we don't have that time like in person where we can break out and say, okay, try this for 10 minutes and I can walk around the room. So it's just a little bit too disruptive to the workflow to try and take 10-15 minute breaks to have you guys try things and bounce around to 4 or 5 different screen shares. So I try and save all that for the end. So it'll be a little bit different, a little bit awkward, 4 credits at night remotely, but I think we'll make do the best we can. Hopefully I copy pasted this right from the course catalog. You've done the prereq, some of our outcomes. These are specific things we'll get to in class that we assess. That sort of stuff is fun through assignments and tests and whatnot. Our textbook here, specifically, we've listed the 7th edition for this class. We had a small, I don't know if it was a mix-up or whatever happened, but the Orchard Ridge campus was using the 6th edition and the Auburn Hills campus was using the 7th. So either the 6th or the 7th is perfectly fine. We are moving to the 7th now at Orchard Ridge this semester. So it's just like a 1 semester delay for whatever reasons. So either one's fine. I posted all of the PowerPoint presentations from Mr. Gaddis and Pearson on D2L. Please do note the copyright notice at the end. They're not to be shared outside of the course tool. You're welcome to download them yourself, but please don't go make them publicly available. The idea is you're at least supposed to pay for the book before you get these or something like that. You know how that goes. From the bookstore, your favorite online retailer or whatever. We're going to make heavy use of the book as our reference material. My goal is not to read the book to you, not to do the book examples for you, but to pull out the important pieces and give you different examples and my take on, hey, this is the topic, let's take a look and explore it a little bit. That way you're seeing it a different way than what the book is showing you. And I think that that typically works out better for people because that way most people don't learn things as well just seeing it one time. They have to see it 2 or 3 times and then try it themselves. So you're getting some different examples. And also I'm publicly here on Twitch instead of Zoom, so I am really not at liberty to use their PowerPoint presentations publicly, which is fine because I think PowerPoint's trash anyway. And I think reading to a bunch of adults in a room is like the most boring thing that can ever happen. So I in general, just not an advocate for PowerPoint. I don't know if there's probably a better term for that, but I don't like PowerPoint. I think we abuse it and don't do the right things with PowerPoint. So the slides are there for you to reference. They give you some highlights as well. But the textbook will be having quizzes every chapter, except for this first blitz through. Anything in the text from that chapter is fair game, but the quizzes are open book, open notes, open internet, use your sources, and they are is essentially not time-bound. They have a due date, but you can go into it, you can go out of it, you can go into it, you can go out of it as much as you want throughout the week. So you'll have a week for each of these quizzes. Just reminded me I didn't post the quiz for the morning class. Thursdays are a crazy day, so I'm doing my best to keep up with it. But we'll get a quiz out there. It'll be due a week from when I post it or so, so you have lots of time for that. So anything from the chapter is fair game, and anything that I talk about is fair game. But I can't guarantee that I'll say everything in the chapter. Right, so it's a good reference material. We're going to make use of that heavily. All right, this giant list of links here. This is the fun stuff. These are all the tools we're going to use. If you had 1500, you should, I think, have been using NetBeans with the OpenJDK and OpenJFX and Scene Builder. If not, I'd love to hear about it. You can message me or take it to chat or whatever you want to do, what you did for building a graphical user interface. So I know what my classes did. I had 2 out of the several 1500 classes in the fall, and it's okay that we're not all identical. Like we don't want to say everybody must do this exact same thing, but we should all be using similar tools, at least of similar versions. Okay, yeah, Eclipse is fine. I've used Eclipse in the past before. I switched over to NetBeans because that's what Dr. Boss said we should do, and he's a lot smarter than I am. He's our department chair at the Orchard Ridge campus. Swing frame. Honestly, that doesn't ring a bell, but that doesn't mean a whole lot. I've not seen everything for sure by any stretch. JGrasp is a very basic tool. It can do some things for you, but I'm not going to recommend that at all. I think it's time to move out of JGrasp into a better tool. Yeah, IntelliJ should be fine. I'm not familiar with that one myself. I haven't used it, but it should have all the same capabilities. There's a couple things I'm going to do with unit testing that we've got some amazing shortcuts in NetBeans that you might not have in other tools, or you might have to go find the shortcuts or just do it the harder way. But it'll be okay. So I'll recommend NetBeans, but if you're comfortable with another tool, you're welcome to keep using it as long as we don't have any trouble. So just your mileage might vary. So the OpenJDK, with the latest and greatest versions now, I went out and I followed the model that we have on our college computers, the images and the virtual desktop infrastructure. So there's a folder called OpenDev on my C drive. It doesn't have to match for you, but if everyone does it the same way, it works a little bit better. So in OpenDev, I have the JDK version 1501 and the OpenJFX version 1501. Remember, these two need to match for us to do the JavaFX stuff nicely. And I also installed NetBeans here just to keep things consistent. So those are all the links here. In addition to that, I am a huge proponent of GitHub. GitHub specifically because they're free and easy to use and I'm familiar with it, but the Git source control tool. GitHub is just a hosting provider for the Git source control tool. They're one of many providers out there. There's lots of other versions you could use. Yeah, NetBeans 12, I think they just released 12.1 or something like that. I think I updated just for fun, but any version of NetBeans, recent version should be fine. So with GitHub, the idea there is this is where code lives. Right? Git is a source control tool for code, started by our friend Linus Torvald, the founder of Linux. He used previous source control tools and said he could do better, and turns out he could. Git is a phenomenal tool. I would probably say now it's the most widely used tool in the industry. There are still some other source control tools people use. So not specifically GitHub, but Git itself, the tool Git. GitHub's just one of many providers of Git. So I'll show you how to do the GitHub client. Again, a lot of IDEs will integrate right with Git because it's so popular. But what I like about the GitHub client is it's consistent no matter what IDE or language you're using. So we can do projects in NetBeans, we can do projects in PyCharm if you're doing Python, you can do projects in Visual Studio if you're doing C# or C++ or anything, and the client itself will be the same. So that's the one I'm going to show you and use. If you're comfortable with the other ones, fine, that's perfectly okay, but I'd like to get you exposed to an industry tool that's very common out there. And what's wonderful about this is you don't have to email me code files, you don't have to email me Java files, you don't have to submit and upload Java files to D2L. Right? D2L is not made for that. Email is not made for sending code attachments back and forth. That's just a terrible way to do things. Turns out Git, as a source control tool, was designed for sharing code. That's phenomenal. So we're going to use that. So what I'm going to do is I will have a public repository for my code for the course that anyone can access. And then when you guys go and fill out that getting to know you form, you'll give me a username that you create on github.com. Anything you want. Again, it's public. Use whatever handle you want. It doesn't matter, whatever email address you want. Just know you will get emails to that email address. So it's got to be not a throwaway one. I'll make you a private repository that only you and I have access to. So we don't want your projects becoming public until the end of the semester. At the end of the semester, if you want to make your work public, have at it. It's your work. I just ask that while everyone is working on the same assignment, you don't make yours public and easy for one of your classmates to find. Okay? Discord, not required, but this is where I'm going to be having office hours. We've got a channel for our class specifically. We have other couple other channels. If you like memes, please drop some safe for work memes there in the Discord server. I always love good memes. And you guys all found Twitch already, sounds like, because you're here. That's good. NetBeans latest version, OpenJDK, OpenJFX latest versions, and then Scene Builder as well we'll get to when we get to the GUI portion. If all of this doesn't work well for you, this lower half here, NetBeans on down, is all installed on our virtual desktop infrastructure through the college. That's the Horizon VMware client. You guys can download the VMware client, follow this link. It gives you Windows and Mac, whatever downloads that you might need. Everything's pre-installed except for GitHub. But GitHub does not need admin permissions to install. It just runs as your local user. So you can install this on the VM and use your GitHub repository. That probably sounds really crazy. I haven't showed you how that works yet. Don't worry, we'll get to that. Got lots of time. I have my coffee. I've got the rest of my coffee pot. It's kind of a shame we're not meeting in person, because if we were, I would share my coffee with you. I used to go and make coffee in the classrooms when I was an adjunct, because these 4-credit night classes get a little long. I think I mentioned I also have 6 children, and I do teach part-time over at U of M Dearborn, and I'm technically still a doctoral student there, although I'm taking a 1-year hiatus, because remote learning, researching stuff while trying to manage my kids' remote learning is just not happening at all. So I'll be off until things go back to normal, and then I'll go back to my research for the doctoral program there. So I keep rather busy. I drink coffee all day long. It's amazing. It's good stuff. I think at least one person had filled out in that form that they said they also like coffee, so I'm in good company. All right. So that's the tools we're going to be using. Again, I'll help you get these installed. If you need them to get installed, just let me know. The course policy on plagiarism and cheating. I am very particular about this because this is a big pet peeve of mine, and I think cheaters should not get degrees. It devalues the degree for everyone else who does get the degree. So if you go to OCC and you get an OCC degree and you go get hired somewhere and they say, oh, okay, you probably know what you're doing, you have a degree, you at least have some experience, and you suck at it because you cheated, they're not going to want to hire other graduates who didn't cheat. So it's my firm belief that cheaters should not graduate. So what happens if you engage in academic dishonesty? You will immediately fail the course and have to deal with the dean. So as soon as I suspect academic dishonesty, I have to do all sorts of paperwork and documentation and say, this is what happened, here's the form, here's my proof, yada, 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 and I ship it over to the dean, and I'm out of the picture. You failed the course. I have yet to have the dean come back and say, well, you know, we talked about it and it wasn't actually academic dishonesty. You should let them back in. That has yet to happen in my 9 years of teaching now. That has not once happened. And honestly, the paperwork for doing this is just ridiculous. It's this ginormous form. I have to attach all sorts of things and all sorts of paperwork, and I have to send it to people, and it just upsets me. It's like the worst paperwork, even worse than TPS cover sheets, is the academic dishonesty report. Black coffee. That's the only way to drink it. Just straight black. My first job was actually at OCC, over at the Auburn Hills campus. I did desktop support. And I don't know if their office is still there, but they used to have an office inside the library there at the Auburn Hills campus. It was like kind of halfway to the back, off to the side. And there's no drinking fountain in there because it wasn't meant to be an office. I guess it wasn't like meant to be an office suite, I should say. They might have like a kitchenette. So there was no sink, no water source. So we had a coffee pot and a refrigerator, and being a poor 18-year-old, I was not buying my own pop. So I would drink the coffee that some of the other guys would bring in and make, and because I wasn't going out to the library all the way to the other side to get a drink of water from the drinking fountain. So I would drink the coffee. And 3 of the 4 people in the office drank it black, and 1 drank it with cream and sugar. The only person who drank it with cream and sugar was the boss of the office, the manager for desktop support, and everyone else gave him a hard time about it, and teasing him, making fun of him for not being able to drink black coffee. So when I started drinking it, after a few weeks, I started drinking it black as well, because I was not going to have them make fun of me. And you know what? It works out because it's healthier for you anyway, and I'm a type 1 diabetic, so I don't need all that extra cream and sugar in there. It does terrible things for my blood sugar as well. So it works out that I learned to appreciate it this way. And really, like, it's pretty much the only socially acceptable stimulant drug. Right? People give you funny looks for other sorts of things, but no one really cares if you have a coffee habit. Like that's just we come to expect people have a minor addiction to coffee, and you need that caffeine stimulant to get you moving in the mornings. So I'm actually much more awake now at the 6 p.m. night class than I was at the 10 a.m. morning class, but that's okay. I say all of this, big long stories and whatnot, because I can go a little fast. I love programming, I love code, I love making computers go beep boop bop and do those sorts of things, and sometimes I gotta slow down a little bit. So please shout at me. You're welcome to @ me in chat. That does get my attention a little bit faster, or @ me in Discord. I've got that kind of up and running as well. The Twitch chat and Discord at the same time. So please interrupt me, shout at me, tell me to stop or slow down, or say something again, or if something wasn't clear, because if you didn't get it the first time, I can pretty much guarantee you someone else didn't either. So you're doing everyone a favor by having me repeat myself or go over something again. You know those end of semester surveys you guys get and you fill out, and we use them for faculty evaluation and whatnot, and course evaluation. One of the classes I was teaching over at U of M Dearborn, someone had said that I was like a squirrel with an adrenaline shot. This was a 3-credit night class in C#, and that's my absolute favorite language to program in. I love C#, and we got to build games in it and do all sorts of fun stuff. But I've tried to take that to heart a little bit and pace myself and slow down and leave some gaps for asking questions and whatnot. No, the questions are not useless at all. I love when we have questions, because I honestly get bored of hearing my own voice if I talk for too long in a row. So if we can at least have some conversation back and forth, it's fantastic. So yeah, please keep the questions coming. Why Twitch and Discord? That's a great question. So if anyone in chat there wants to put in !TKF for the Knowledge Fellowship, we give a little shout out for the Knowledge Fellowship. They're a group of streamers who just want to share stuff that they're passionate about and they know about. I got involved with them a while back. This was before the whole pandemic thing happened. After I'd got that squirrel with the adrenaline shot comment, anyway, I've had people say, hey, it'd be nice if we could like record your class so I could watch it later, because sometimes you talk fast, which was their polite way of saying, please slow down. So I try, been working on that. But I was like, oh, I watch people on Twitch all the time. I'm a big nerd. I actually started, I don't even know how many years ago it was, with Day 9, when he would stream or cast StarCraft on Twitch. I got hooked watching him and all of his videos and stuff, and I've been on Twitch ever since. I think it's such a fun platform. So I did start using it before the pandemic started. It's been about 2 years now, I want to say maybe 2.5, that I started just live streaming the classes I was doing, and I would just do it from my laptop in the classroom, and I would just stream myself, mostly just to have the video recording for anybody who couldn't make it, but then also that C# class I had mentioned was a winter class, and you guys know how winter traffic goes sometimes when it snows, and there was no good way people were going to get there on time. So I said, hey, if you can't make it because of the weather, that's fine, just watch online. And you've got chat to interact with, and it's not as easy for people who like to ask questions over voice, so I do apologize for that. If you prefer to ask questions over voice, if you join the Discord server, There's a voice channel called Lecture Voice Chat. Just shoot me a message or ping me, get my attention and say, hey, I'm going to hang out there and ask questions over voice. I'll be able to hear you. I'll mute myself in the channel because otherwise you'll get some weird echo and whatnot. But I can take advantage of that if you want to ask questions via voice. But most people seem to do relatively well with chat. But if that becomes a barrier, please do let me know. I'm happy to do what I can with that. Yeah, so I've been having fun using Twitch for a while. And then Discord, I think the discussion boards in D2L are the worst thing ever. And that's been around since I was a student back in 2005. We had these terrible discussion boards, and the technology has not gotten any better for discussion boards, and it's still the same old crap. And someone says you have to post one thing and you have to reply 2 times. So people post one thing and they reply 2 times and then they forget about it ever again. So typically our Discord conversations go a little bit better than that. You do lose some of the threading. Like you can reply to people, but you can't have like one particular thread conversation. But just in general, I think it's a much more natural way to have some sort of conversation with people. So I prefer Discord as well. And then, it makes it easy. You can do screen sharing in Discord calls. So I'm all about making things easy. And any good programmer that you ever ask, say, we'll tell you all programmers are lazy. And I mean that in the nicest way. I mean, like, we're efficiently lazy in that we're not going to do more work than we need to do. And if something is tedious and takes lots of extra work, it's going to not be something we want to do. And it does work very well for computer science classes or CIS classes because it's not really discussion based. It's not some sort of, a philosophy class where we're going to have some discussion and go back and forth and have everyone contribute to it. I'll just be honest. So most of what happens is I give you examples, you guys try things, I help you with those things if they don't work right, and then we make the computer go beep boop bop. So it works well for our particular format. And if you're interested and you're a big nerd and you like learning things like I do, we've got all sorts of amazing people on the Knowledge Fellowship. In particular, there was an article that went out. Someone did. It was the Chronicle of Higher Education for everyone who cares, and none of you guys do. Just faculty members seem to care about it. But it was about using Twitch, and there's a guy named Prof. Melko on Twitch who teaches chemistry out of some university in Florida. I forget which one it is. One of the Florida universities. And he started doing office hours on Twitch. So he didn't do his class lectures on Twitch. It was just office hours. But it was to try and make it more accessible for students to pop in and ask questions and whatnot. And we actually got some really good feedback that the anonymity, whatever the word is, when you're anonymous, if your name's not attached, you tend to be more comfortable asking questions. And that's not to say people aren't comfortable asking questions when I know who you are, but I made it easier for some people to ask questions that they might not have asked in an in-person format. And one person did actually mention that, posture check, thank you. I have a bad back, which is unfortunate from sitting in a chair hours and hours and hours and hours and hours a day. And then when I'm not working, sitting in a chair playing games for hours and hours and hours a day. So thank you. So I've got this really cool like spine board thing. You can lay on it too, which is nice, but it helps my posture so I don't do so much slouching. Hydration, you're the man. Thank you. I've been told coffee's not all that hydrating, but that's my liquid of choice. So cheers. Yeah, and Twitch is just fun. I think I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but like Dr. Melko has got a decent community going now of non-students who come, and so during his office hours he talks about science articles and current news and whatnot, some of his related research, and it's kind of a fun community built up. Obviously he gives priority to students asking questions, but that way it kind of fills in the silence. Because when I have office hours, naysayers, yes, exactly. It's 17 TTV. Did I read the Roman numerals right? 17. Sorry, I've got chat on my phone because it was blowing up my GPU earlier on Edge. I don't know why. That was sad. 27. Did I say 17? Yeah, 27. That's obvious. Stretch. Yes, stretch. I've got this awesome desk here. This used to be my son's loft bed with a desk under it. And when he outgrew it, because he kept hitting his head when he'd sit up, he's 13 and almost as big as I am now. And I'm no small person. He swapped out and moved to a different room, and this desk thing is hard to move, so we turned it into an office for me upstairs. So I don't have to be down in the cold basement anymore. So it's really nice to have a window. It's dark out right now, but it's nice to have daylight. Yeah, no, use whatever handle you want. 27 is cool. It's all good. Yeah, so it's kind of fun just to use these platforms, and you'll see these tools other places and whatnot, and we don't need to have sort of discussions where we need to be talking to each other as well. We're just not a discussion-based class, so I don't think we need Zoom for that. But I'm happy to meet with you, do video chats, because I know it is kind of weird to only talk to people remotely and never like see their face or pretend to have a face-to-face conversation. So happy to meet with you guys and do that. And we can do it over Discord or Zoom, doesn't matter. Whatever works well. So, all right. I think we're good so far. Oh, so plagiarism and cheating, academic dishonesty. Plagiarism is the biggest thing I find in coding classes, where you're giving someone else's ideas, data, images, words, or products without crediting them. That's copy-pasting someone's code and not citing your source. Right? It's easy to cite your source. You leave a comment and you say, I got it from here. Okay? So if you're not sure, ask me. You're never going to get in trouble for asking. You get in trouble when you turn something in and you haven't asked. Because what I assume is when you turn work in at the college level is you're saying this is your work. I mean, why else would you give me something if it wasn't yours? So I assume it's your original work unless otherwise cited. So you have to cite your sources. Now, if you can find the solution to one of our homework projects online, I didn't do a good job Googling for it. Because I try and make them silly, awkward, weird enough that you can't just find a solution online. If you do and you want to know, ask me. I'll say, yeah, that's fine to use or not. Most of the time, it'll need some heavy tweaking, even if you find something similar. Okay. The other piece of that, not just plagiarism, but acquisition of tests or other academic materials or distribution of the same. This means if you go take an assignment and post it on Chegg and say, hey, help me with this, please. That's academic misconduct or dishonesty because you're distributing course materials. Chegg is a terrible, terrible place. I really hope they get sued hard by somebody. I've had nothing but nightmares trying to get my coursework off of their website and these sorts of things. And I've had several students use them and then fail, and then they get pissed off because they're like, hey, I paid Chegg for their tutoring, premium tutoring service or whatever crap that is. And so you can't have people do your work for you. And I don't know why that's so hard to understand. So I have failed many people for using Chegg. So please don't post on Chegg. I do have an account through U of M Dearborn. Our dean there of the college set up an account faculty members can use to go and look and see if their stuff is getting posted on there and if their students are using it. It's a lot of work to do that, so please just don't do it. Don't make me go do extra work, right? That upsets me. And having to fail people upsets me too. Last semester I had to fail 3 people on their final projects for various things. Someone gave me a file right off of Chegg. Just flat out, he didn't even try. It said Chegg all over it. So it was just horrible. Oh, am I frozen or are you guys frozen? Do I need to refresh? Hang on, let me see what's going on here. Sorry, guys. Let me try. It's Inspector, right? Inspector, Twitch. Let me see. Okay. All right. Yeah, usually I have this running like on another laptop so I can see if something crazy goes on, but it's looking okay so far. That's good. We're pretty stable. A couple spikes here and there, so we're doing all right, I think. And hopefully this doesn't suck up lots of resources. Why does Edge hate me? Why would it use that much? That is insane. Okay. Maybe I just have time to switch to Firefox, but that's okay. All right, so again, if you're not sure, ask. But don't go post things around and say, oh, well, look, I found this answer online because you posted the question and someone found it. So please don't do that. If you give your code to a fellow student because they just want to look at it, that's academic dishonesty. Okay? Aiding and abetting, the people who share and the sharee of code. So, and that doesn't mean you're not allowed to talk to each other. Edge is bad. I find it's better than Chrome. because Chrome is like literally spyware now. Someone recently did a little test of it, and there was ridiculous amounts of data being sent out about you and your habits and whatnot to Google when you use Chrome compared to other browsers. I know Edge still spies on you, but Microsoft's getting the data, and I'm a Microsoft fanboy myself. Firefox actually rated the best. So I should slowly move things over to Firefox, but Chrome batter. Yeah, so don't, you are allowed to talk to each other. My typical rule of thumb for this is discussions are great. Right? You're talking about ideas, you're talking about approaches, like, hey, I might go try this sort of thing or try that sort of thing. But when you start having to take notes, you're copying too much. So like if you just say, hey, I'll probably have a class that does this, and they'll talk to each other or do this sort of thing, or I'll have a couple methods here. And if you start writing that down and saying, okay, and copying exactly, here's the class name, here's the method name, here's the method name, here's the method name, and copying it directly, you've gone too far, right? But if we were making a class for, say, chair, and the chair would go up or go down or lean back or lean forward, or I don't know what other things chairs do, spin or roll or something, right? We could talk about a chair object. But if you start taking notes and like, if, you know, doing a little UML diagram or whatever and saying, okay, this is exactly what it looks like, you've gone too far. All right. And if you're ever not sure, just ask. Okay. So we've got the public Discord. I would encourage you guys to ask class-related, general-ish type of questions in the public Discord, because we're missing out of that format where people could just ask questions and everyone would hear the answer. Because if it's not clear to you, it's probably not clear to someone else. So like, hey, what did you mean by this particular thing for the assignment, or for this part on the rubric here, what about this, right? But if you want to like have me look at code, if you're getting an error in your code, take that one to DMs, please, and we can go from there. Yeah, Edge is built on Chromium. They're both built on the Chromium engine, but the data that they collect and send places is different. So it does make a bit of a difference. You sold your soul to Google. Yeah, Google has sadly kind of strayed a little bit from, I think most people would agree, from their don't be evil roots to don't be overtly evil, perhaps, if that's a way of saying it. And it's easy to criticize from the outside, obviously, and any large organization is going to have trouble. But some of the stuff that they do and how they make their money and whatnot is maybe a little sketchy, but it's easy to criticize. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. I still use Google products. Like I have Gmail, so I guess, and an Android phone. So, you know, that's what it is. All right, so that is the plagiarism and cheating policy. Again, failure of the course. There's no bargaining with me. There's no saying, oh, can I just get a 0 on the assignment? It's literally out of my hands. I filed the paperwork with the dean's office, and you have failed. That's it. It's done. There's nothing else I can do. Because once it's the policy, I'm not allowed to deviate from it, because that would be unfair. Okay. The code of conduct is copy-pasted. This is meant for like in-person classes. Keep your classroom corridors quiet. Remain. So whatever. Sure. Just okay. Just pretend I'm not stupid for having it here, please. Right? I obviously I know we're in remote world here. It's here because it's a template. The grading policy. This is the part most people seem to care about. So it's a weighted system, and someone had complained about this and said it was confusing in one of the course reviews. So I'm assuming I didn't explain it well. What that means is your overall score in the category of projects. So all of the individual projects you guys will be doing, and you'll probably have 4 of them real projects. I think I'll take a look in just a minute. Trying to remember is bad. Your overall score of that makes up half of your final score for the course. So if you got 95% overall in the projects category, you'd get 95% of 50 out of 100 from the projects category. Right? For the chapter quizzes, we're going to do quizzes on all the chapters we're going to go over. Your quizzes score makes up 10% of your overall grade. So the points for assignments and quizzes and whatnot only matter within their category. So because a quiz is 10 points, and another quiz is 10 points, and another quiz is 10 points, and a project is 10 points, does not mean they're worth the same. 10 points in project has a much higher weight than 10 points in quizzes. And hopefully that makes sense. So someone had said it was hard to know what their grade was going to be. So like, if you can expect to get a 95% on the final project, take 95% of 25. If you expect 95% on the midterm, 95% of 15, 90% on quizzes, 90% of 10, 100% on projects, because you guys have lots of time to get these done, and you'll have a rubric. You'll know if you complete X, you get these points. If you complete Y, you get these points. If you complete Z, you get these points. If you get 100% of that, you add up 100% of 50, and just add all those together, you'll get your score out of 100. Hopefully that makes sense. The letter grade should be standard here across all your classes. Hopefully there's no surprises. I do round, so a 39.5 or higher will round up to a 94. All right, but a 39.4 does not round up to a 94. I'm sorry, 90. 93.5 will round up. 93.4 will not. Right? I have to cut it off somewhere, right? So again, I will round, and that's as much as we'll go. So at 93.9 will be an A. A 93.9 will not be an A minus. So I do give a little bit of wiggle there on this standard scale. Exactly, yeah. If you get 100% on each of these, it's perfect math. You get 100% in the course. Exactly. The N grade policy. If you don't turn in the first project, you'll pretty much get an N grade. But I won't give you an N grade without emailing you and asking what's going on and whatnot. But hopefully you're all here, you're not going to get it, and life is good. The late policy, I don't have a late policy. There is no sliding scale. There is nothing. I don't take late work. Right? If it's late, I can't give you credit for it. And the reason is when we have projects, and I'll show you the schedule in a minute, it's due at a certain time, and I'm going over the solution in class. So once I've gone over a solution in class, hopefully it's obvious that I can't take it from you. So all the projects you'll have at least 2 weeks to do, except for this very first one, but the very first one's like a nothing. It's super easy, and I'll actually do it for you. You just need to go through the steps yourself. So you'll have at least 2 weeks to do them, so I can't take them late. So please plan ahead. Getting a 0 on a project is huge because that makes up 50% of your overall score, and we only really have 4 of them. So that takes a huge chunk out of your score by missing one. It's much better to turn in something that's partial than to turn in nothing, all right? Because I score things off a rubric. So if you meet objective X, you get the points. If you don't meet objective Y, you don't get the points. But if you did X and you didn't do Y, you'll still get some points. So giving me something partial is better than nothing. For FERPA, I won't release your information to anybody. I won't give you any sort of grade information ever. I'm going to say, go look in Desire to Learn, because the idea is you're the only one with the password to your account. That just makes life so much easier for me. So anything you want to know about grades, I'll say, go look in D2L, and we'll just make things easy. If you need accommodations through the Americans with Disabilities Act, please contact the Access Office, and they'll get in touch with me. I think about the only thing we'll need is a lot of people tend to have disabilities that require them to have a little extra time on tests. That'll be the midterm. So the midterm exam is going to be a time-bound exam. You'll have a 2-minute or a 2-hour time frame on that. So once you click the start button, you have 2 hours to hit submit, unless you have specific accommodations documented with the Access Office, and they'll get in touch with me. And then once they've done that, you still need to ask, please. It's not automatic. So you need to have that conversation with me and say, hey, could we please do this? Really, it's just reminding me because I have 115 students this semester, so I'm not going to remember. So just ask me and say, hey, can we set this up? And if I've got the paperwork from Access, yes, I'm happy to work with you. So get in touch with them. They'll get in touch with me. The Academic Support Center is awesome. It's one of my favorite things about OCC. We have an entire center dedicated to student support and academic support. We actually do have supplemental instruction this semester. Our supplemental instructor is hanging out with me in the morning classes, but the group tutoring sessions that he offers are also available to you guys. So they meet 3 times a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 5, and Wednesdays from 6 to 7. He's trying his best to kind of spread out some of those times to make it hopefully available for one of those days for you guys to drop in. And they also offer study skill seminars, which is cool, and they have individual tutoring, which is fantastic. This is completely free, offered through the ASC. I think this is the coolest thing. Actually, I haven't looked at Auburn Hills. I should do that. I'm an Orchard Ridge campus faculty member, so I never actually look at these things here. Yeah, that's not CIS. Okay, so nothing at Auburn Hills. So don't talk to Auburn Hills. That's fine. But the Orchard Ridge campus. So technically this section is an Auburn Hills section, which means it would have been taught in person at Auburn Hills. But because everything's remote, you get to take advantage of this. This is fantastic. And you don't even have to drive to Orchard Ridge. So we have 2 tutors. Tim is actually our supplemental instructor. So he is in class, watching along. He's taken the class before, passed the class before. He's really good at it. He's got a ton of experience. But he's hangs out in class in the morning classes to know what kind of stuff I'm covering and how I'm talking about it to be better informed. And then he runs the study sessions. In addition to that, you can book individual tutoring sessions with him from 4 to 6 on Mondays. It's all by appointment. And then Rika is amazing. She tutored last semester. I had a bunch of students from 1500 go talk to her all the time. So she tutors for a bunch of our classes, including this one, 2151. Okay, so you can book appointments with her Wednesday and Thursday. Hopefully one of these times works for you guys. And again, it's free. Just do be aware, if you have 2 no-shows, they will take you off the list and stop booking you. Okay, because the ASC pays the tutors to be available and meet with students. And if people keep dropping, then it, obviously it's not good. So do take advantage of that. That link is here in the syllabus for individual tutoring. And then if you can join the group tutoring sessions, the SI sessions, you can also take advantage of that. And this semester, I've been told sometimes it takes a little nudge to go to these SI sessions. I took calculus just a couple of years ago now, as it was a prereq for the doctoral program, and I actually hadn't done calculus before. So I went back to school as a 30-year-old and took Calc 1 and Calc 2, and took Calc 2 again because I didn't pass it the first time. But I went to the SI sessions for calculus, and it was fantastic. For Calc 1, I should say. I didn't go for Calc 2 the first time. I forget the whole story. Then I went to the math lab. They had like open math tutoring as well. I would go to a lot for Calc 2 the second time because I really didn't want to have to take it 3 times. But it's just hard to remember all those formulas. I hate having to remember stuff. Anyway, so any one of those 3 sessions, if you can make it to either the Tuesday or the Wednesday or the Thursday or all of them or any of the above, I am going to offer an extra point on the weekly quiz. So you probably didn't hear about them. I put them in the calendar, but I don't know if anyone actually checked the calendar before the class started. So if you did make it, great. If not, don't worry too much about it. You can make it next week or any of the weeks after. But if you can make it in a week, I'll get the attendance list from Tim, and you can get an extra point on your quiz for attending the SI session. Now, attending means you're there for a decent amount of time. Now, you don't have to be there start to finish the entire hour, but more than 10 minutes of popping in. Ideally half an hour or more. I don't know exactly how they run. I try not to pester Tim when he's running his sessions, and I don't want to drop in and then take the thunder away or anything. But you can attend those and get an extra point on your quiz each week for attending, and it's just an extra chance to work on the material, which is fantastic. And Tim's a great guy, knows a lot as well. I think that's it for the SI sessions. Yep, that sounds right. I'm talking to myself. I'm crazy. Thankfully, you guys are all there, and I'm not crazy, but sometimes I feel crazy streaming here just talking to myself because I don't see anyone else's video, but I do like Twitch. Anyway, D2L, they have their own technical help desk for D2L problems. That's like, hey, I'm clicking a link and it's broken. Or I'm trying to enter something in a quiz and it's not going. That's a D2L question. Anything content related comes to me, right? I'm the one putting the content in D2L, ask me about it. But they can help you with like, hey, the page won't load, or the quiz won't submit, or something's stuck, that sort of thing. I can't download a file, whatever happens to be. They can help with the technical side of things. Other pieces here, the technology appropriate use regulations. Don't do stupid things on college resources. Don't post things on D2L that you shouldn't be posting on D2L. Nothing illegal, obviously. And if you use the virtual desktop, don't mine Bitcoin or other stupid things, right? You use the technology appropriately. Oh, nice. Got a Mark Zuckerberg? Mark Zuckerbergs. Is that just a joke about Zuckerberg? Or a dad joke? Yes. Okay. So I have them all here on my phone. I collect dad jokes because I think they're amazing, and I tell them to my kids all the time. So I'll tell you this one. So I grew up not too far from where I am now, in Commerce is where I grew up, not where I am now. And my parents recently semi-retired, or at least my father semi-retired, and my mother is working her way towards retirement now. I think she has another year or two that she wants to put in before she retires. But they sold their house. That was my childhood home, which was a little sad, of course, but that's okay. And they bought a 40-acre farm west of Ann Arbor, out in the sticks. So it's about maybe hour and a half drive from here. So it's a little longer to go see them instead of 15 minutes away. But my dad retired, and now they have goats. So they raise goats on the farm. Got a big barn. It used to be a dairy farm. They had dairy cows, but they didn't want cows. But my dad wanted goats, or my mom wanted goats for the goat milk. I forget the whole story. But they have goats now. At one point, they had 30-something goats as they're breeding them and selling them. They're down to less than a dozen now, I think, as they sold off a lot of that last batch. Is it a batch of goats? A litter of goats? I don't know, whatever it's called. And then we try and milk some of them as well. My mother likes goat milk, and making goat milk cheese apparently is her new hobby. But she always liked gardening, so she's putting in just a hobby garden, not a working farm garden where they're going to sell commercially or anything. And then the goats. But so out in the big barn where the goats are, my dad was always complaining that his Wi-Fi wasn't working very well for the house, and he had me come out and look at it because I'm a computer guy. And I was saying, oh well, if you put the router out in the barn, you'd have a stable connection. No, I don't think anyone. Well, I don't know if anyone's tried to mine Bitcoin on the virtual desktops, but that would be a violation of the technology appropriate use regulations. And violations of that policy can cause you to lose access to college resources, such as our computers. And it's really hard to complete college or computer-based activities if you can't touch the college computers. So please do respect the college resources and don't do stupid things. It is basically it, if I could sum this up. For netiquette, I'm very informal. No, my parents actually do have a farm. They do raise goats. I can show you pictures because they're the cutest things in the world. I don't know. Goats are just hilarious animals. Let me find this here. This is well worth it. Well worth your time, I promise. Here we go. This one is, what's her name? Shoot. Tina, that's right. This is Tina the goat. My mom and dad know all the goat names, of course. They can tell them all by just by looking at them who's who. So that's Tina for Christmas. And this is Tina's daughter. She was born last Christmas. They named her Candy Cane. So she is was exactly 1 year old on that picture. And they sent us that. So the goats are adorable. Awesome little animals. And they're so funny. Let me go back here now. So... eat the fruit, Tina. So yeah, they have 12 grandkids. Half of them are mine. Works out nice. My brother and sister have 3 each, and then we doubled that. So they let all the grandkids pick out names for the original batch of goats that they got. So they have some really funny names because some of the kids were younger at the time, and kids name goats the funniest things. That was the dad joke. I'm sorry. Yeah, so they actually do have a farm. They do raise goats, but I did not suggest he get a stable connection by putting a router in his barn. But they do have Wi-Fi trouble. I'm hoping the Starlink system actually works well for them because the internet service they get out there is terrible. So I said they should at least look into the beta for it because it's $100 a month is not too much more than they're paying now to get some decent internet, and it makes it difficult for my mother to work at home without good internet, which is unfortunate. And Zoom calls with them are terrible. So, but that's fine. Anyway, netiquette. I'm super informal. Please at me, correct me, shout at me, get my attention. Anytime is fine. I don't need complete sentences. I don't. What I do need is for you to be polite. Right, I won't tolerate any sort of nastiness or name calling or being rude to other people in the class. But other than that, you can be as informal with me as you want. That's perfectly fine. someone even had like a meme about that. It was like all these things your high school teachers tell you about college, and then how college profs actually are. And the one thing was like, you spend 30 minutes, writing this nice long email, proofing it, going back and forth, something, making sure it's super polite and all these things, and you send it off to your prof, and you get back 3 minutes later, okay, sent from my iPhone. So I mean, we're not monsters, and maybe the reputation used to hold for some people, but I'd like to imagine I'm a normal person. So, and being a doctoral student, I still get to appreciate the other end of the classroom, where I'm the one sitting there getting puzzled and lost all the time as people talk, and then I stop paying attention. So I feel your pain. Expectations for me. Usually I'll have things graded within a week of when you've turned it in. Last semester did not go well. Lots of family issues, and then we got COVID, and it was just crappy. And 2020 sucks. So I'm so happy, so excited for 2021 to be better, and I should be able to stay on top of it this time and not run into trouble, because apparently you can't get COVID twice right away. You could get it twice, but you have to wait a couple months before your immunity goes down enough to catch it again. And we're still being careful, so I'm hoping it's a much better semester this time. And then communication-wise, email, call, text, chat me in Discord, whatever. Within 24 hours, I should get back to you. If I haven't yet, please pester me again. I likely just lost it in my craziness. So you're never bothering me, asking. It's my failing and my fault if I don't get back to you right away. So please don't feel bad about pestering me if I missed you. Other than that, I'm usually back to you within a couple hours tops. So I do have a lot of classes this semester. I'm teaching 5 different classes, but should be okay getting back to you right away. So, within an hour or 2 or 3, most of the time I'm around, and I can at least ping you back and say something. The I Am Legend movie with Will Smith. I don't actually know if I saw that movie. All right, here's our course schedule. This will finish off the syllabus review, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back and I'll show you all about the tools and Project Zero, and maybe a little bit about Chapter 7 specifically. The other ones I'm not too worried about, like if-then statements, loops, methods. I'm assuming you guys are good at that, and we're going to come back for Chapter 6 again next week as well. So like it was 1 through 7 without 6, essentially. So we meet once a week. Or the times that we have 2 sessions for a given chapter, I'll have the quiz after the second session. I don't think we need a quiz every single, or maybe we do. I'll see how I feel about it, whether or not we have a quiz every week or not. But so we'll jump into classes, round out the review of that, make sure you got everything solid from 1500, and I'm going to introduce unit testing, which I think everyone should do. And I'll get up on my high horse and talk about how cool unit testing is and how much of a shame it was you didn't learn it earlier, but that's okay. And then we'll come into the second look, classes and objects. We'll do a lot with abstract classes and interfaces and those sorts of things, which is really cool. And we'll have our second project, the first project on classes and unit testing, the second project on classes and objects, abstract classes, interfaces, that sort of thing. And we'll do Chapter 9, text processing, wrapper classes. We'll get into inheritance for 2 weeks. I'll have a project on inheritance specifically. And then we'll have winter break. That's the first half. We come back, we'll do some midterm review and then the midterm exam. The review is essentially going to be saying, please watch the VOD from Tuesday morning, and then you'll have all of 311 to do the midterm. So both of my classes are going to be taking the midterm on 311. It'll open up about midnight in the morning and end somewhere around 11:59 p.m., maybe even go to like 2 or 3 in the morning the next day, if you are a night person like me. So whatever time you have a 2-hour block to do the midterm, you can take it. And if you're a night person like me, you can take it at night. If you're a morning person because you're weird and crazy and you're a better person than I am, you can take it in the morning. I don't really care when, but just when you hit start, you'll have 2 hours to hit finish, unless you have other accommodations. And then we'll move on to 11, 12, 13, and 14. We'll round out our core Java with exceptions and advanced file I/O, doing some cool binary file work in Project 4. And then we move into Java FX and hit a harder dive on GUI programming. Hopefully you did the GUI programming. No, everyone's welcome here. Ahubi, definitely. So it's if you do exclam class in the chat, I got a little bit more info and just some expectations there, but everyone's welcome to hang around. So we'll do 3 weeks on Java FX. This is where having the version 7 of the book is important because it matches these. If you have version 6, he gets into Java FX in chapter 15, so the numbers won't match, and then you'll need a little bit of supplemental because he doesn't go quite as deep in FX. But I've got all the slides for you, and that's probably enough between the slides and what I'll show you in class for what you need to do. Yeah, please hang out, check out any of the classes you want. So I'm more than happy to have people hang along. And on-topic questions are always welcome, right? I've actually gotten some good questions from some random people just hanging out with the rest of class. So as long as it's on topic, I'll do my best to answer. So we'll do our FX. Our final project will be an FX project, a GUI project. It should be a lot of fun. We're going to do some interesting stuff. And then the last week, week 15, I'll talk a little bit more about design patterns. That's a couple like special topics we want to get into. We'll use some of these earlier, kind of here and there, but I'll do a deeper dive on those. And then we'll have the rest of the time reserved for you to work on your final project. And then my plan was on 4/29 to have you guys present them to class. And I probably will actually want to try Zoom for this if it's going to work. That way everyone can present their project to the rest of class. Now I realize we do have almost 30 people, and at 5 minutes a person, that's a lot of time. So I think we can do it in our 4-hour slot, even with some back and forths. But now you can get up, or if turn on screen sharing or something and show us your project if possible. If it's not going to work, I'll do some sort of alternative for you, but I'm hoping we can get that to work, and it should be a lot of fun. For the final project, you guys are welcome to work in pairs on this. Typically I would require group work, but given this remote environment, I think that's just cruel and unusual, so I'm not going to require that at all, but it'll be an option for you guys if you want to pair up with somebody. So up to you guys if you want. I won't force that on anybody with our remote environment, but as a professional programmer, it's much more interesting and you get a much higher quality product when you work on a team with people, because you're able to design better and bounce ideas off of each other and maybe fail faster. Like if this doesn't seem like it's going to work, usually you can find that out faster when two people are talking about it, rather than, oh, I think I can make it work, and you go down this route and then it just doesn't work and you have to rip it out and try again. So that sort of thing is really cool, and it's much more fun to work with people than to sit in a room all by yourself 8 hours a day and not really talk to people, except for, here's the finished product at the end of the week or whatever happens to be. So that'll be an option for you guys on the final project. Just let me know if you want to pair with people. I offered it last semester, and best I can tell, no one took me up on it, except I think 2 people did pair together because their projects were like similar enough, but they were different enough too. I was a little confused. So I meant to talk to them, and with the craziness, I didn't get a chance to, but yeah. So that's it for the syllabus. Thanks for listening. I know you guys know how to read. I apologize having to go through all that. And good news, there's a syllabus quiz. It's one question. So let me hit preview here, and you can take a peek. 5 of you already did it. Hooray, you're passing the class already. It's literally one question. Just turn it in before next week, please. And it's saying, you've read and understand the syllabus, and you know the course policy on plagiarism and cheating. All work you submit is assumed to be original work, unless otherwise cited. You put your name in the box, hit submit, you get a free point there, just for telling me you did this thing. Okay? This is just one last check for me to make sure that everyone understands what a policy is on plagiarism and cheating, and that I take it seriously. Right? Cheaters shouldn't get degrees. I will work my hardest to make sure cheaters get expelled. So it's a pet peeve of mine. Oh, and one last thing before we break. I've got this information on scholarships specific to CIS students. There are other ones still available, but these ones are specifically for a couple CIS programs or general CIS students. I think 2 of them are still available. Other ones, they each have their own deadlines, but if you apply by Friday, January 15th, you can still get in on some of those. I think someone told me it took about 10 minutes to do the application. And once you've done one application, you're in for all of them, which is amazing. The system's really cool through our foundation, and it's essentially a chance at free money. So please take a look, see if you qualify. And there are other ones out there in the system as well. So I wanted to share that info with you guys. In the calendar, we've got the group tutor sessions coming up. So they're Tuesday, 4 p.m., Wednesday, 6 p.m., Thursday, 4 p.m. And we'll continue that format 4-6-4 throughout the semester. Hopefully that works. One of those days might work with your schedule, so you can take advantage of those SI sessions. All right, so I'm running a little late here. I'm sorry. Let me go put on some music here. We'll take a break. Come back in about 10 minutes or so. Let's see, which one of these was good? I haven't listened to all of these before. Oh, very cool. Yeah, I'm teaching a basic web development course with PHP and Java um, on Thursday afternoons, but you can check it out on YouTube or Twitch. 2454. All right, guys. See you in a couple minutes. Alrighty, how you guys doing? We're back. We're back. I think things are a little more stable. I switched over to Firefox so I can actually like see chat on the computer here, and Firefox isn't blowing up at me. I don't know what this desktop Windows Manager is. That one's annoying though. But whew, yeah, I'm definitely not that into WoW. We're still at the free tier at this point because I don't really want to have to pay for subscriptions for 3 kids plus myself. And I'm still hoping I can talk them into switching over to EverQuest, but they seem to like WoW better. Yeah, we've been having fun with our D&D campaign. It's cool. What is this Windows Manager? I should probably do some Googling and figure out what that is, but that should be okay. As long as it's not too laggy, we'll be okay. So I added some more commands here for the music, right? Yeah, if you let it be. I was into EQ real big as a kid and a college student, but all right. So let's talk about Project Zero and GitHub. So what I'm going to do is show you the steps. Again, you don't need to make your own repository because I'm going to make one for you. So go fill out this form here. If you have recently, you probably already have a GitHub repository. You should have gotten an email inviting you to collaborate. RuneScape, I've heard good things about it. One of the guys in the Knowledge Fellowship plays RuneScape while he does his office hours, just to have something to do. He's an econ prof. He's really interesting. So, okay, I'm going to actually stop watching Discord for a while so I can full screen this one. Yeah. So give me your github.com username, make your account, they're free. Goals for the course, anything particular, and then anything else you want to tell me is great. I'll make you a GitHub repository, and then you can go download the GitHub client at desktop.github.com. You hit the little download button, and we're off to the races. So I'm going to open up mine. You can install the GitHub client as well on the college virtual machines if you want to use the tools already installed there. You're all set, no problem there. And we need 2151. There we go. So this is the course repository I'll be using that has all of my code examples in it. It's also mixed up with the Tuesday, Thursday morning class, but I think that might be easier than trying to keep them separate and you having to go look both places. So I'm just going to keep everything in this one here. So what Git is just a very fancy glorified file watcher. So if you go to repository and show an explorer, I'm sorry, I forgot to show you this stuff. You're going to go to clone first. So you won't have any repositories. You're going to go to clone repository, and you're going to go find your CIS 2151 repository. It'll look like this, but it'll have dash your username in there. You'll see a big list of them here in a second. I've got tons of them because I make them every semester, and I feel bad deleting them, so I don't. I probably should delete them, I guess. But it's a little slow to give me the list. All right, there we go. So a bunch of them are already made here. 2151. I already have it, so it won't clone for me, but you'll be able to click the clone button, and it just puts a folder here in Documents GitHub with the repository name. If you don't want it to Documents GitHub, put it somewhere else. It doesn't actually matter. Just wherever you want to put it, we can always go find it. After you've done that, then you can go to Repository, Show an Explorer, and there'll be a folder. It's the folder with the repository name. This is where all the magic happens. So wherever that is, you can always go get the path here. So if you just like click here in the white space in this little breadcrumb trail, you can copy that path with Control-C, and we're going to need that in just a minute. So I've got some stuff in here already. Don't worry too much about it. We'll get to it later, or you can watch the VOD from this morning. What Git does is it watches for files to change. New files, files to get deleted, changes to existing files. So I'm going to make a new file here called Thursday Night txt. We'll put a little note in here. Are you bored yet? And save it. And then the GitHub client here is going to say, hey, I found a new thing. There's a plus here and it's green because it's a new file. What Git does for you is it will track snapshots. And what I mean by snapshots, it means what is in the folder and what all the files have and their contents at that point in time. And you do that by making something called a commit. So you need to give it a commit summary. So right next to your user here, there's a single line. This is the commit summary. So it's Thursday night, example, file, and you click commit. Once you've clicked commit and it finishes spinning, you have got that in your history nearly forever. It is possible to screw that up, but it takes some effort to screw that up. So once you've got a commit, you can pretty much always go back to that snapshot, which is super cool. The other step you need to do, though, is you need to push the changes to origin or the central repository or github.com. So when you click push, it's going to sit and spin for a little bit, and it's going to synchronize its changes from your repository out to the copy that's on github.com or the cloud or someone else's computer, whatever you want to call it here. And you can always go check and see if it made it. You go to repository, view on GitHub, and it's going to open up your repository. If it says 404 not found, you might need to log in. So check your user up here at the top, make sure you're logged in, because if you don't have it, remember your username or remember your account. A private repository, like the ones I will create for you or have already created for you, you don't have public access to, because it's private, right? But my repository here for the course is public. So we're going to see a file here. And then the other cool thing GitHub does, because it's a hosting provider of Git, is it lets you browse the code. So I can say, oh, what's in this file? So the name of the file is a link, and it will take you to a page where you can actually see the text. And I can see the contents of text files. It's fantastic. So a little example I did earlier, like a little hello world, I made a NetBeans project in that directory, and I get all these other project files. These are fantastic. Just leave them alone, let them get added. It's great, because that way you can open it up in NetBeans later, or I can open it up in NetBeans later. Into the source hello world folder, hello world.java, and we can actually see the Java file itself with the system.out.println commands. Oops, that's the wrong direction. Zoom in, right? So you can see that a little better. Hey, no problem. You can always check out the VOD when it's done to get caught back up. We're going over Git, GitHub for anybody who didn't have me for 1500. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to commit all of our code to GitHub and github.com so that I can see it. So if you can see it on github.com, I'll be able to see it on github.com, and I'll be able to grade it. If you have questions, if you run into errors, don't email me Java files, right? I'll say, hey, can you send me a link to it in GitHub? So you can commit it to GitHub and go to like, hey, this is project 0. Here's the source project 0. Here's project 0.java. This is a URL you can send, copy, paste. You can put places like in chat, and someone else can open it up and look at it. And then the cool thing is these line numbers are like hyperlinks, essentially. It adds the client-side linking or something like that. I forget the proper term for it here. I should really know that if I'm teaching web development, but it's not at the top of my head. I don't memorize a lot of things as a developer. So I can say, oh, your problem is right here at line 11, and give you a link to line 11. This is a fantastic tool for that. And you can do other things and yada, 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 which is really cool. So I can see things at the line level and leave comments and notes and tell you what's going on here. Oh, great. I see some of you guys are submitting the form. I'll get those created in just a minute here for you when you take another break. So we'll be using GitHub. So let me show you how that works. So again, I went to repository, show in Explorer to find out where it is. It's probably in Documents GitHub, but again, I don't want to have to click the bunch. I want to do the easiest thing. I click in the white space and I copy, Control-C, the path here. Here, let me pop this up. I found a really cool tool, which I was really dumb about, but that's okay. It will show you all of the things I'm typing, which includes passwords if I go log into things. So remind me not to log into things when this is on, because I did that and logged into the virtual desktop and was stupid, and then everyone laughed at me, and I was embarrassed. But it's okay. We all make mistakes. So it's cool. It's going to pop up in the bottom left here when I do certain key commands. Where'd it go? There it is. Awesome. So if I go into the path here, and I find my GitHub folder, and I copy it, you're going to see Control-C show up there in the window. Right, you see Control-C pop up. Oh, it's too far over again. The left offset. I'll just turn off the left offset and save. Is that still on? Or did I... Oh, shoot, I closed it all the way. I'm still learning how to use the tool, and I'm dumb, so hopefully I won't show you my password again. I had to go change it, and that was sad. Thankfully, I don't use that lots of places, so there we go. Minimize. Okay, cool. So now you can see the shortcuts show up and the things I typed there in the bottom. Anyway, so I have the path. Control-C for copy. I'm going to open up NetBeans that I installed. Karnak. Yeah, it's some magician or something like that. Yeah, I think that's what they named it after. Karnak the Amazing or something. So there's supposed to be another tool that I can configure so it only picks up like the Control-Alt-Shift Windows hotkeys instead of all the stupid things I type. I just haven't had a chance to Google it yet. It's been a little crazy today. All Right, so what Project Zero is out here in D2L, if you go take a look at assignments, Project Zero, that's due by next week. Again, this one's just super basic. I just want to make sure you can get your GitHub repository up and working. What is going on here? What is killing me? NetBeans, Firefox? Yeah, NetBeans is slow. We covered the syllabus so far in the first hour and a couple minutes. So if you had me last semester, you should be fine. Mad Hatter. So Project Zero and edit assignment. Look at that. What you submitted. You guys are amazing. We're doing basically a Hello World program, but we're going to use Scanner to talk to the user and say hi by name. Okay. So once that loads, I'm going to go to File, New Project. And I want a Java with Ant Java application. Here, if you're using NetBeans, just a basic Java application here. And what I want to do is I want to make sure I have this project location as the GitHub directory. So I'm going to paste it in. And it was already there, but it likes to default to like Documents NetBeans projects, and we don't need that. Right? We don't need it to go in the NetBeans projects. So I want it to make sure it goes in this directory, and then I can give it a name like Project Zero Night Class. Sure. And it's going to make a bunch of files for us. And then what GitHub is going to do, it's going to say, oh, hey, I see a bunch of new stuff, which is fantastic. We want all that new stuff here. So there's like these build files, there's properties files. Just let all those be. What we care about is the Java file. And by having all these other project files there, I can open it up in NetBeans if I clone your repository, which makes life easier for me if I need to go and debug stuff. I mean, I can make it work otherwise, but having to copy paste and cut and change names and packages and classes is irritating, and I'd rather not irritate. Oh, hey, Hubi, I missed you donated, shared some bits there. That's awesome. Thanks so much for donating to the Student Scholarship Fund at U of M Dearborn. Did I mention that to you guys yet? I forget who I've told what. So please don't feel like I'm trying to double dip and get paid from Twitch to do the things I'm paid to teach. So any revenue, if I ever get any from Twitch, will go to the Student Scholarship Fund over at U of M Dearborn, and I would be more than happy to show you receipts and all that sort of stuff. I did have one student throw their Twitch Prime sub out of the channel, be like, hey, cool, I'll give you the $250 from Twitch Prime for the sub to donate, and eventually I'll get a check from Twitch. I think they have to wait till you get like $100 or something like that. So I probably have many months, but thank you for donating. So all these files, just leave them alone, let them change. The gitignore file is good. It's saying don't add anything that's private. It blocks that whole private directory. That's perfect. You don't want that to go. But the Java file, this is great. So I'm going to say started project, and I can commit and push. The button here, it does double duty. Sometimes it says push, sometimes it says fetch, sometimes it says pull. If you guys always work on just one computer, you'll be fine. It'll pretty much only say fetch and push. If you're doing multiple computers or doing teamwork, it'll say other things. So don't worry too much about it. All right, so we got Project Zero started. I'm going to take out all this other template stuff because that's annoying. I've been meaning to go take that out of my template, and I just keep forgetting, so that's fine. All right, so what we need to do for Project Zero, here we go, is once you have your repository, it might take a little while if you just filled out the form. If not, you should have the email. Let me know if you don't see it. I can get you set up. We're going to just do simple hello world where you have a pretend conversation with the computer. We're going to use the scanner class to get some keyboard input from the user so we can talk to them by name. Commit all of the project files and Java file to your repository, and you're going to submit the URL to the Java file. I'll show you all that in just a minute here. Okay, so we need scanner. So scanner, I don't know, I like keyboard like Mr. Gaddis does. Equals new scanner, given system in. And it says, oh, I don't know what a scanner is, and this is why I love NetBeans. We say, yes, NetBeans, please add the import for me. Great, we got an import for scanner. Don't do more work than you need to, right? Let the tool do that stuff for you. S out and then tab will give you system.out.println. Love shortcuts. And we'll say, hello, generic humanoid. I am the mighty computer. What is your name? All right, I'm going a little bit long on the lines here. Some people are going to yell at me because I passed this bar. I don't really care. I would prefer to not have to scroll to see things, but I'm zoomed in kind of a lot at the moment, just so you guys can see things better. So it should be fine. Just make it easy for me to read, and I'll be happy. Okay. All right, and then we need to get their name. So I have like a string for name is keyboard.nextLine. Get their name, and then we'll print hello and name. Nice to meet you. How are you? And we'll get some input. I don't actually need to do anything with it, so I'm just going to do next line and trash it. I'm not going to save it anywhere. Not close. Next line. Oh, I'm all about the keyboard shortcuts. They are my favorites. And you'll see me Control S save way too often. It's just a habit. Like, I'm going to save over and over and over. I don't know why. It's just a bad habit I have. So I don't care what they say, like how are they doing. It doesn't matter. We're just going to print line again here and say that's nice. It's nice. I'm having a great eon. Sure. Just something awkward, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're just a pretend conversation showing you can use scanner to get their name, respond to them by name. If you want to copy paste this exactly, have at it. I don't care too much. If you want to come up with your own funny story, go for it. Don't spend much more than like 2 minutes on it though. Okay? Like it's not worth all that effort. Ugh, NetBeans hates me. I don't know why. So sometimes when I hit run, it doesn't do anything. And I have to go to properties on the project and go to the compiling section and uncheck compile on save. I spent like 10 minutes Googling it and got pissed off I couldn't find a solution. So I just gave up because I had a workaround and figured doing this once per project is better than Googling for another half hour. All right, so now it actually builds and does the right stuff. And all this ant stuff happens, which is cool. But it's magic. Eventually we get a class file and Java runs, okay? All right, so hello, generic humanoid. What's your name? Eric. Hello, Eric. Nice to meet you. How are you? I'm wired. That's nice. I'm having a great eon. Sure, that's funny. So the cover is kind of, or the typing kind of over that, but that's the idea. So when you're done, you come back to GitHub. Again, commits are free, so make as many commits as you want. I don't care how many you have. Red for stuff was removed, green for stuff was added. Oh, on the Mac? It's possible they didn't have that shortcut, but it's like one of the tool options, I want to say. There's like an option for doing code completion in here. I think it's in the editor, or is it Java? Code completion. I think there's something in here we had to do. I'm trying to remember. I'm sure we could Google getting it working for Mac, and that'll work. If not, just type system.out.println and be sad you're using a Mac. Anyway, so let the files change, properties manifest, I don't care, git ignore, those can all fine. Just check your Java file out and you can see, oh sure, I removed some stuff, I added some stuff. So this is project 0 complete. I'll commit and push. And then what you do, after that's all done, you go to repository, view on GitHub again. And we're going to go find that .java file in GitHub. Sorry, Mad Hatter. So here's project 0 night class.java. Oh, it's not fresh. Let me refresh it, see if I get the latest version. This is the other old version. Nothing. So maybe, oh, I didn't push yet. It looked like it pushed, but it was just tricking me. Let me try again. Make sure the change is pushed. This is why we check, right? If you can see it on github.com, I can see it on github.com. Just because you see it on your computer doesn't mean github.com can see it. So always double check. All right, looks good. I got the stuff. Copy this URL, Control C, go over to D2L. It's going to ask you to submit just some text. You just paste that text in, and you're all set. I think it's a plugin. If you just Google NetBeans Dark Mode, there's like a little plugin you can go install. It was like a 5-step process, and I like dark mode. And someone told me about it last semester, actually, and I was so happy. I've been meaning to get dark mode for other things, but D2L doesn't support it, so it like keeps blinding me. I feel like GitHub had a dark mode at some point too, but again, I haven't spent the time to change it. So, right, and that's it for Project 0. That's all you guys have to do. So fill out the form. I will make your repository. If you don't have it within, an hour of filling out the form, please pester me, and I will go make it for you. I should be able to do that, no problem. I can go look in just a minute after I finish streaming, make sure I get the repository for you. The last bit is the review from chapters 1 through 7. We spent some time doing 2-dimensional arrays. So I'm going to recommend you go watch the VOD. it's not even all that late, but I've thrown a ton of new things at you already, and what I'd rather you focus on is getting your tools up and running, making sure this all works for you, and then you can come back to the 2D arrays later when you watch the VOD. So we've got some code out here for it. I'm a big fan of array lists rather than hard arrays or fixed basic arrays. So we did array lists, did some looping over them, made some arrays, and that was it. Nothing super fancy at all, just a quick review. And then next week we'll come back and talk about Chapter 6 classes. So I'll get a quiz posted out there later, a quick little review from chapters 1 through 7, and we should be in good shape. All right, how you guys feeling? I know night classes are tough. I know they are. It can be rough. Lots of CPU still. I don't know what's wrong with Stream Manager. I feel like it doesn't usually do this, but that's fine. Yes. Oh, C++ last semester. Yeah, C++ is fun. It's got other... it maybe not easier, but less hard. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like doing some of that context switching where you have to change syntax and change, these are the names for things. It gets less hard to do. It doesn't necessarily get easier, but it's less of a barrier. The more switching that you do, you'll get used to doing it, and it's never like easy. It always takes a little bit of a mental shift to get into the right habit. I do all sorts of funny things when I teach Python because I'm used to curly braces. And everyone into my Python class is like, why do you have curly braces in there? And I say, oh no, those aren't supposed to be there. So just that sort of fun thing. Okay. So all that's out there. We should be in good shape. If you wanted to cite me, right, that's what I wanted to show you here. So let's pull that up here. If you want to use this code here in yours, copy paste and then grab the URL and say, come back over, where's project 0? Copied from, boom. Just leave the URL as a comment, whether or not the Stack Overflow page or it's a something else page or wherever you got it from. If it came out of the textbook, I could care less. As long as you didn't like literally rip out an entire section. Like I'm going to assume you got the idea or paraphrased stuff from the textbook all the time. Thank you for the stretch. Because that's our resource, right? That's our book to go after, or kind of using some of the ideas I gave you. It's really, I'm more upset about if you copy paste things or if you're taking an entire idea of an algorithm sort of thing. Just changing a variable name doesn't count as making it your own. You still need a citation, right? Just like if you're paraphrasing in a paper, you're citing the source that you paraphrased. It's not letter for letter, word for word, so it's not a direct quote. But you're saying, hey, I got this information, this idea, this whatever from this source. So please feel free, add citations, and go for it. Okay, I'm good with it. So that is project 0. You guys should be done with that. Do take a little bit of time. I'll post the link for the Tuesday video or the Tuesday, Thursday videos as well. We covered everything on Tuesday. We spent a little bit of time doing the same thing Thursday, going over project 0, and then we got into that two-dimensional array stuff. So spend a little bit of time doing that review. But again, it doesn't have to happen right now. Take your time. Make sure you get all your tools up and running. Get project 0 done out of the way with your GitHub repository, because we're going to need that to do all the other projects moving on forward. And then don't forget the syllabus quiz. Yeah, if you find someone on Stack Overflow, just drop a comment, leave me the URL. Say, I got it from here. I'm cool. Yeah, should be all we need. All right. Other than that, how are you guys feeling? I'll take a look at the form submissions in just a minute. Get you guys GitHub repositories off stream, so I don't have to show all my other stuff that I use for that. My scripts. I'll turn off Karnak. We should be good to go. So that's in general what I have in mind for the format. About 2 hours or so of streaming, talking at you, showing you stuff, and then I want to give you that time to try it on your own, play with it, and then if we don't get to quite everything, I'll say, hey, go look at the stuff from the Thursday VOD, if that sounds okay with you guys. That way we can break it up and we're not sitting here for 3-4 hours at a time in a stretch. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's hard remotely, I'll be honest. So, and you guys are always welcome to the morning classes or the morning class. I said you can always join us Thursday night if you want. Whatever works well for your schedule, or just watch it asynchronously if you can't make it live. Oh, and I owe you a dad joke. Yes. Let me find one here. Let's see. I got a couple. I got to remember which jokes I tell to which people, though. Oh, here we go. I heard you should never blame someone else for the road that you're on, because that's your own asphalt. Don't mind me, I'm just drinking my coffee here. Yeah, I liked that one. That was a pretty good one. All right, I got one more freebie, and then we'll call it a night. I heard the COVID restrictions just recently got extended, but they were modified slightly. So they said, gatherings of up to 8 people without any issues. Okay. The problem is, I don't think I have, 8 friends without issues. All right, cool. So it's been fun. Get out there, practice, try these things, get the tools installed if you haven't yet, or do the virtual desktop, whichever guys you want to do, whichever route you want to go. On the virtual desktop, everything is in the OpenDev folder, C OpenDev. So you will actually launch NetBeans from C OpenDev as well. Yeah, thanks. This was fun. You guys keep in touch. Find me on email, on Discord, text me, whatever. So in OpenDev, they've got the NetBeans install here. You just go to the bin directory and you launch NetBeans from there. And you should be off to the races. Okay? All right. Thanks so much. You guys take care. Should we raid somebody for fun? Well, we can do that here in Twitch, right? That's the other fun thing about Twitch. Let me see who we should raid. Obviously, totally optional. Just having fun checking out some of the other people who are around on Twitch. Let me see who I have. If there's anyone from the Knowledge Fellowship or anyone around. Let's see. Ooh, chess. Do you guys want to watch chess? Lantern Noir, he's a math teacher, but this is his gaming channel. Yeah, I'm not sure there's a lot of... We can go check out Gotham Chess. Definitely an 18-plus channel if we go over to hang out with Gotham Chess. Just a FYI, but let's give it a shot. He might even have raids turned off because he's a big channel now and we're just tiny, but it might be fun. We'll see if we can. Let's see. Oh, mute. Mute is what I wanted. Yeah, let's give it a try. See if it works. Sometimes I think it's gonna work. All right, cool. So I will see you later. You guys take care. Have fun. I think I got the right option there. Yeah. Oh, the button isn't loading. Come on. Okay, 10 seconds. Thinking about it here. It's counting down 10 seconds really slow. That's okay. We don't mind. We can be patient. So yeah, fill out the Git form and we'll take a look. Come on. All right, see you guys.